No,
What happens when you
she's-
meet and miss a meeting?
I don't know what I am, I'm just
I don't even know what happened there.
Cheryl.
They had elections last week. Okay, we are now on air, so we'll call the February 1st, oh. It's always so funny.
Feels hot.
It's just, you sit next to me.
When we get to it, I'll
It usually bounces
You
over.
just, you want to just put it on my phone?
No.
They've got a few things we'll go through first.
That's a quick answer.
Okay, let's try that. There you go.
Okay. Call to order the meeting of the City of Norman Board of Park Commissioners meeting, the February 1st, 2024 meeting. We'll do roll call. Billy Davison,
Here.
Christy Isaacson,
Here.
Chris Moxley.
Here.
Elizabeth Ross. Okay. Mary Salee. Here. Cheryl Sheriff here. Ellen Usry.
Here.
And Christy Wright is absent. Okay, item number 2. Item number 1, consideration of approval, rejection, amended, and/or postponement of minutes from December 7th, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Must have been approved. Item number 2, discussion items. Consideration of approval, rejection, amended, and/or postponement of previously approved council actions.
All right, just kind of give you a little update of the business that was conducted with, between the Parks Department, some of the other departments that had park-related items, and City Council this past month. Amendment to a contract with Oklahoma CP&Y Inc. For infrastructure, and this is just adding a pedestrian crossing near Ruby Grant Park. We also have a change order between the City of Norman and GS Signs. This is for wayfinding signage, these cool signs that you see everywhere that are kind of popping up around town. When they put the signage in, they didn't include one for the Adult Wellness and Education Center, so we had them go back and adjust a few of those signs. The next one that you have in your packet is a contract between Alliance Maintenance and the Parks Department for custodial service at the Young Family Athletic Center. As you can see, that's about $8,400 a month for cleaning of that. That's a 7-day per week cleaning contract, and also offering day porting services on the weekends when we have the most events. Here's another one appropriating $900,000 from the Norman Ford general balance to the YFAC for purchase of FF&E equipment. This is kind of a similar thing that we did with the Adult Wellness and Education Center. We got towards the end of the project. We were a little low on funding, used all of our funding towards construction of the facility. We had to go back and ask for a little bit more money to make sure that we have furniture and equipment inside the building for everybody to sit down and enjoy the facility while they're inside. We didn't want everybody standing all the time. Resolution 2324112, adopting the Andrews Park Master Plan developed by Copeland Design Collective. And the last one that's on here is a contract between High Flyer Holdings, Inc. for $940,000 for the purchase of real property at Hutner Drive. Now, that actually got delayed and pulled off, so that did not go through, but that was a buying property on the north side of town. The reason this is parks related because this has to do with facilities. And there was we would be building or assisting in building a building for both the Red Rock Behavior Center and possible homeless shelter on that property. But once again, that got pulled and did not get voted on.
You're gonna build one for Red Rock?
That was or buying property for Red Rock, not necessarily build one for Red Rock.
So if that was approved, would the park be in charge of maintenance of that facility?
Facility maintenance, we would be in charge if it's a city-owned facility. Not parks. Facility maintenance is also underneath this.
Do you need any action on those?
No.
Okay.
Just if there's any questions or anything, we can answer those at this time.
Do you think it's gonna go next time?
I don't know if that got put back on, last time I heard it, might not go back on to the agenda. I think they're still discussing that.
Okay.
Item number 3, consideration of approval, rejection, amended, and/or postponement of land or fee in lieu of parkland for the Whispering Trails PUD addition. James?
Hello, James Briggs, Park Development Manager. Sent you the information in the packet. This is yet another of our replats of those areas up there along the border of Moore, Indian Hills Road, north of Indian Hills Road between Indian Hills and the city limits. There were several, if you go to the next slide. Years ago, we did sort of a neighborhood concept of how all these would come in, one by one. There's a church up there, 30 acres, right there off of 36, but between 36 and 48, there were 4 owners essentially. We've already reviewed Redlands and I believe Uplands, which is the one, number 3. And these are all replats. Those old plats from years ago expired and they've all come to replat. Some of them look different, some of them look the same. This one's a little different in that you can see years ago there was a lot more, well not a lot more, there was more, it was all single family lots. It was a neighborhood of housing, but if you go back one, go back one. It is now, and you can see it back in your packet, up on the north end of this sort of T shape is basically apartments. And then that row along the drive that comes in the middle, the north side of that road is a duplex type living. Smaller number of counts and smaller people per unit when we do our calculations. So it's 252 units compared to the old 288. And then the south end is more of a commercial development which wouldn't have any parkland requirements. So these days, 1.11 acres essentially is owed by this addition. If you go to the next one again, yeah, so all of these were master planned to have, and you saw it in Redlands Edition, there's a public park up in that north corner of Redlands Edition. They will all link across to the 36 and then cross 36. In the next slide, you can see there's sort of this gateway park. This end down here is the Redlands Park Edition, and then we travel along the border of Moore across the Uplands Edition, where it kind of widens out, and then there'll be a crossing on 36 into the Commerce Parkway, which is a large addition with apartments and everything. We actually have a deed for that land already over there on the other side that goes up the I-35 frontage road. So sort of this concept on the books for Gateway Park. It's probably one of those things that we will evaluate as we go through our park system master planning process over the next year or so. They're gathering information from us all the time, looking at our old master plans, seeing if things still work. I think this is still a good plan to get this sort of green strip. We haven't done any development in those areas. We're just acquiring the land. So what this tonight proposes, Whispering Trails, is to do a fee in lieu of land for the Whispering Trails Edition, which connects via the street system into Redlands and then up to the park. The sidewalks, you can get to the park, which then you could traverse all the way across to a much larger development of that big Greenway Park system. So hopefully that makes sense. I know I sent you all the graphics in the packet, but I'd be glad to answer anything else. We agree with the decision to do a fee in lieu of land. We use that to purchase some of the land from Uplands. They don't owe that entirety of land, but it's reserved as parkland, and we would use the fee in lieu to purchase some of that land to make a contiguous park from Redlands all the way across to 36, and then you cross into the Commerce Parkway Park as one big park.
And so we anticipate future developments giving us more fee to help us continue building that?
Yes, well, Redlands gave the part that's there, sort of the end of the barbell. Uplands dedicated, they set aside all of that land along the top of Uplands. They owed part of it, so that we won't buy because they owed it to us. The rest we will purchase with the fees from Foxworth and Whispering Trails and continue with that. Like I said, and across 36 to the east, we already have the Commerce Parkway came in years ago and we got that deed from them. So also part of this decision, they did not want to do a private park and they didn't want, so they will still be obligated to pay the building fees, which would be 18.9 in park, neighborhood park fees and 18.9 in community park fees, which we would collect or would be collected once units are built.
What's that cross street right there?
Which one?
Is that a cross street?
No, that's the city limits. That's
Okay.
more, see, more is above it. That's just sort of a line. That's
This
not-
is Santa Fe Avenue.
Which one is
Santa
it?
Fe's north and south.
Yeah, she's talking about along the northern border of this neighborhood.
Runs
So
east
that's,
to
that's just
west.
the city limit.
So James, what happens if the
Not,
road
I
goes
have
through?
no idea. That's not, I mean, if this is being platted, I mean, the representative from the developer is here. Is there any contingency plan, Gunner, for if the turnpike stuff keeps going? Are these subject to being changed?
Yeah, that's really kind of the reason behind the change in design from the original preliminary plat to now. You know, originally, all of that was single-family housing all the way down to Indian Hills, which is gonna become the turnpike. So, same thing that happened with Redlands is happening here with Whispering Trails, where it's a proposal for commercial, and then as we go north, kind of making up that lost density, where you're taking out single-family housing and putting in more apartments and duplexes, and that commercial provides a buffer for that increased traffic that can come along. If it does not come along, same thing that we had with Redlands, the site plan will work both ways. Basically, there's an extra commercial outlot building that they can do. If the plan comes through in the general location that is expected now, they would lose that kind of out parcel, but the commercial to the north would be able to continue.
Can you identify yourself for us recording this?
Sorry, yeah, Gunnar Joyce, representative of the developer with Rieger Law Group.
Thank you. So again, all that discussion that he just went through, that's kind of beyond parks. So, so the neighborhood we're being presented with, we think that, you know, if things proceed, you know, we would have that Gateway Park land that we want to pursue.
Okay, staff is recommending a fee in lieu of land. Is there any other recommendation, or do I have a motion to accept staff recommendation?
I'll motion to accept, oh, go ahead.
I was going to motion to accept it.
Go ahead, you get this one.
You second it?
I'll second it.
Okay. Have a motion by Billy Davidson to accept staff recommendation of fee in lieu of land for the Whispering Trails Addition PUD revised plan, and seconded by Christie Isaacson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Rieger,
Thank you.
Riegers.
Item number 4, consideration of approval, rejection, amended, and/or postponement of the presentation of the plan for the new stormwater park project.
So, and I'll start Jeff off. This is Jeff Evans from PDG out of Tulsa. They did our work at Griffin Park for the Norman Ford project out there. What we have coming before you tonight is a new park project. It's at the old Mattoon property, located on the east side of town, right there at Alameda and Carter, the intersection. This is in a partnership with the Stormwater Division, trying to make a cool nature park and also an educational opportunity. So we originally Stormwater engaged with PDG, and in the, I think, a fiscal year ending 2023, we entered into a contract with PDG to start design on this park. Reason it's kind of taking so long, we'll let Jeff kind of hop into that, but there's a lot of surveying and studies that had to go along into this park. It's very complicated due to the stormwater, and I'll hand it over to Jeff, and he can kind of explain everything that's going on inside this park.
Thanks, Jason. So Jeff Evans from PDG, I'm one of the principals there. Again, been working with the city of Norman for probably since about 2016, 17 is when we started on Griffin Park, so a lot of experience down here. This park, as he said, we started with stormwater, did a master plan in 21, I believe it was, and then it kind of went on hold for a while. Some staff members changed and everything, and then I believe it was taken over by Parks and a joint venture, as Jason said. So in your packet, you have a master plan. This one's a little bit different. We can pass it out. We updated some things that we changed here recently. compared to the original master plan. It's minor stuff, so the one that you have is pretty accurate, but this one had a few things that changed on the south side of the site, and a few things due to grading, because as Jason said, there is a lot of things that we have to jump through hoops and some environmental studies and all that type of stuff because of the creek that runs through the site and how we're wanting to modify that stream and increase storm capacity in the site. So with that being said, we've done some hydrology studies, we've done environmental studies to make sure we're not disturbing any wildlife or animals or habitat or anything like that. We've done geotech reports to know what the soil conditions are on the site. And then we have a hydrologist on board that's been working with the stormwater department. And after this meeting, if we get approval to move forward, we will start working with the Corps of Engineers and FEMA to make sure that we're dotting every I and crossing every T and going through the permitting process with the city of Norman stormwater, which we've already started that process. So hydrology wise, the biggest thing is right in the middle of the screen, that number 9. The creek is call it 15 foot wide through there, 20 foot wide. They're wanting to increase stormwater capacity, but also deepen that area where it might be able to hold some water to create a water feature on site and also, like I said, hold stormwater too. So it's also a benefit for both ways. We can create some habitat in these areas and some educational opportunities. But going through the site, number 1, which is the playground in the upper left, will be a nature-themed playground. We'll go through some example images after this, but just getting through the site plan first. That'll be a nature-themed playground, logs, different types of using the terrain. As you can see, the blue through the middle is actually sloped. So there's an upper level and a lower level, trying to build that in without doing a lot of grade changes, trying to maintain a lot of the existing trees that are on site. Parks has gone through once and kind of cleared and grubbed the site and cleaned it up, and it probably will happen again when construction starts, because that was kind of back when y'all first took over the land. So with that being said, we got the parking lot on the west side. One of the goals with that is to use some sustainable practices and use permeable paving in the parking lot for the drainage instead of drainage structures. We'll take that underground, and just to the south of that parking lot, number 4, is actually a rain garden, so we can filter the water before we put it back into the stream. And
That
so
is the high point, point out that's.
Yeah, so the high point of the site is that northwest corner of the site. And so with that, we'll drain everything down. It'll use the natural slopes and everything, and we're hoping to minimize any underground utilities and drainage systems and utilize rock and gravel and plants to filter everything before we put it back into the natural stormwater system. As we move through the site, kind of your ADA accessible area would be all the gray area up here on the left side. And then we would have these trails as ADA accessible as possible to these boardwalks. And then you can also come around the site and access this area on the south side as ADA accessible routes. So we'll have all of that. And then the tan that you see going throughout the existing trees would be a primitive or a little bit more than a primitive trail. It would be a decomposed granite with a border on it so it can be maintained, and you'd have access to utilize that as kind of a nature trail. We would have educational signage throughout the site that talks about the rain gardens, talks about how we do those things. We could have wildlife information of the animals and stuff that live in the area, and that's pretty much the idea behind this, is trying to create that nature-themed park on a small site and disturb as little as possible while doing that. One of the other things is a lot of this green space that we show as green will be planted in lieu of doing regular sod or anything in there, is using native grass seeds or native flower mixes to establish that area, excuse me.
Moss?
We could
And
do
there's a
moss.
lot of trees
We could
in
have some boulders and moss. I mean, it's gonna be a natural park is the ultimate goal of it.
It's nice to see some light in there now that the canopy or something's been cleared out, that you can see through there.
When I first visited the site, yeah, it looked like an overgrown jungle, and then I came back one day, Wade was like, we cleared the whole thing, and I was like, what? And walked in and I was like, it doesn't even look like the same property. So, but it's allowed us to see, and we had to clear a little bit more to get some of the testing and everything done because they couldn't get the equipment to where they needed to, but everything has passed all of the tests, and so we're moving forward with this. Some of the ideas behind this,
Point out what you see now, that chain link fence, that's just a temporary thing that we put in. So that's obviously not
Yeah,
the
they're-
final design, but we're just keeping people out.
no proposed fencing around the site.
Right.
Before you go too far, I forgot to mention, Cheryl kind of reminded me to say this, the budget for this, which was FYE 2023 budget by council is $1.5 million. And I think the total, after design and paying all the studies, our construction budget's about 1.2.
Five-ish, plus or minus.
Yeah.
And so I'll show you a budget too
Okay.
that we've done for this. Some of the ideas behind this using natural materials. Some of these images that look like renderings here are actual playground equipment that we're proposing in the site. So it will utilize natural log type deals and climbers. We will have some rope systems and everything in there. And then as we talked about, that blue line through here on this upper center picture, if you can see my cursor there, that's where that slope goes off. So we'll have slides and climbers and stuff that go up and down that. There's about a 3 to 4 foot grade change on that slope that
Kind
will
of see
be
in that middle
accounted
picture, you
for.
can see the berm slide in the
Yeah.
blue, right?
Yeah,
there,
right
yeah.
here, yeah. So you can see the,
Oh, yeah.
all the stuff through there on the background. Utilizing wood and wood type materials, here's the decomposed granite path. Using Core 10 signage and everything to give it more of the nature feel instead of a more modern sign. We're actually proposing on the next slide a green roof type structure on the pavilion. This is a pre-manufactured structure that if we can get everything to work right and we can get the right maintenance on it, this is our ultimate goal to do that. All of the lighting in the site will be solar powered lighting. So the parking lot lighting and kind of the area around the plazas will be solar powered lighting. Originally, the concept had a bridge going across the creek. We've since removed some of that stuff due to budget and some of the concerns by stormwater and initial conversations with Core and FEMA and them. It was gonna be a big ordeal to do some of that. Some of the informational signage on the trail that we can incorporate, and some things that we're gonna try to incorporate with some tunnels or natural boulders in the play area. As Jason mentioned about budget, we have about 1.2 is what we're looking at right now with a 7.5% contingency until we get further along in CDs. So we are in the construction drawing process, that we've kind of put on hold until we have approval at this level. So, this is kind of a budget for all in, for that project that you see on the page. And right now, once we figure out if we need the contingency or not, that will move stuff around. And the city keeps a contingency separate of that for construction contingency. So this is just a design contingency that we utilize until we have final products picked, till we have final numbers laid out and all of that type of stuff. Are there any questions that I can answer about any of this?
If you go back to the original map, kind of would like to point out too is that part of the reason that we're patient on this project and kind of taking our time, if you look right there along Alameda, when you're driving by, you'll see one of the very few kind of billboards in town that it's right there. We're waiting, when we inherited this property from the Mattoon family, we inherited that sign. We have to wait for that contract to expire with the billboard company. Once that expires, we'll have them remove that, and then we'll, hopefully we'll be part of, before all that ends. We don't want the billboard to be part of this park.
When's it expire?
I think, if I remember right, by the end of this year.
I think so, I think at the beginning of 25. I think.
Yeah, he had a
That's the
10-year
issue.
contract on that
Can
billboard.
you just buy it out?
It's
Can't be that much money they're making off of it. I mean,
it's
their
more to buy it
opinion,
out
they are.
than what it is, just kind of for the waiting period.
Instead of going through all the legal wranglings, we decided to just go ahead and do the design, start, and then when that comes out, it comes out. We just won't renew their contract. Rather than try and come up with a number and pay them anything just to save 2 months of billboard sitting there or however long it would be, because it'll be easy to, easy. It'll come out, no one else getting a contract on it.
And it's
so.
kind of a unique situation, and one of the guys we talked to, and it's been over a year since we talked to him, but he's kind of like, well, you might just have to remove it yourself, because we typically don't come and take those out, because it's more expensive for us to remove them. You
my
kind of
gosh.
inherit that with the property, so I was like, oh, okay.
You sell it to somebody?
Look on Facebook Market for
It's-
billboards.
I think
and
you'll
you-
destroy it by getting it out of the ground.
Yeah.
Maybe a tornado will come down Alameda and take care of it.
Take care of
How about just right there on the
I was gonna say,
billboard?
hush.
Yeah, leave the trees.
Yeah, no.
Jason, do you want me to discuss schedule or anything, what we're
Yeah, go
anticipating?
ahead and I'll say we probably have one more public body to take this to, and I think we'll feel comfortable discussing this with council. We'll do one study session, and then we'll set him loose to do everything that he needs to do to get CDs complete and hopefully get bid documents formed at some point. But yeah, go ahead and.
So like we've mentioned many times, the hydrology portion of this is one of the biggest aspects of it as far as timing. And so as soon as we're released to move forward, we have some information that we can put a packet together to get the stormwater permit taken care of through the city of Norman. And they're starting conversations with the Corps and FEMA either tomorrow or first part of next week is when the meeting is. I can't remember off the top of my head. I should have wrote that down. But that will start the process, and we'll find out at that time what their requirements will be. With our initial hydrology study of the site and the report that we're gonna submit to the city, and to the Corps, is that we will not be changing the water elevation, which is a good thing. There's only one area that we can modify some grading that raised it, I think it was 1/4 of an inch or something, or 1/2 an inch, and so it's very minimal, that's well within the standards and the requirements that they allow. And so we're hoping this goes through some lower level items, that we don't get into a long review period with the Corps or anybody. If that happens, that delays the start of construction months. Currently, right now, if it was a perfect world, we didn't have the hydrology stuff to go through. If we had approval to start tomorrow, from you guys and from council and from parks, we would be about 45 days out to a 65% review set. City would have review time, then we'd have about another 30 to 45 days to do another review set for 100% drawings. So we're basically at a 90-day plus or minus time period to get CDs done, from the point of go. And so that's kind of where we set at this time, other than the hydrology. So the hydrology, there's possibilities if something raised a red flag with the Corps or somebody, that we could be 6 months out, just because of their review process. Could be 8 months out. It's just, we're at their mercy at that point. And so that's why we've tried to minimize every possible thing that we can do to eliminate that factor for the city.
So they're trying to widen it or deepen it?
Widen and deepen. So we will actually cut contours out and create a pond type area in here. Most of the time when you see this site, it's dry. It's more or less a dry creek bed. There'll be a little bit of water that goes through it.
Even with all the rain we had?
When water happens, when there's rain and there's a rain event, there is a lot of water that comes through this site. So our idea is that we will deepen this area in the middle, dam it up or change an elevation on the west side to hold water there, create that habitat, and increase the storm capacity of the creek itself. So we'll widen that area out, meaning it'll have steeper slides or sides, but maintainable, and we will increase that capacity right there.
And that way we help the downstream water by detaining it here. This was the original goal, this was.
Yes.
Anyway, so we're helping stormwater and getting the park.
So if it's dry for a month or so, is it gonna dry up? And then
Yeah, we probably may
it'll
have a dry creek bed in there.
be in a
And
dry retention area as well?
yes.
Yeah, okay,
We've looked at trying to figure out a way to recharge it and everything, but
yeah.
it,
Not for
rather-
1.2 million?
yeah, not for that.
Well, and they prefer that it be able to hold some stormwater capacity, you know, and let it dry out, and then when that big
Yes.
flooding rain comes in,
Right.
it helps to,
Yeah.
that's the whole point of that.
What's in the red thing is a deck?
That'll be actually it changed from, again, to help with costs and everything. We were originally doing boardwalks.
Yeah.
To not disturb some area, but the grading allows us on that side. That'll be DG pass up to that area, and that'll be kind of a concrete plaza area with a shade structure with an overlook to that area with informational signage.
Okay.
How much more is Boardwalk?
Boardwalk will go up quite a bit more in cost, and if there's not a reason for it, we can put one in, but it's probably.
You're sitting next to our maintenance guy, so.
Yeah, concrete, and we would do it out of a Trex type material and everything
Yeah,
to make
yeah,
it the least amount of maintenance like we're gonna do. So this is a boardwalk area here on this north side and east side, but, boardwalk, we factor about $50 a square foot, where that concrete is about $9 a square foot. So it's about 5 times the amount to do a boardwalk compared to concrete. And we can do the concrete in a decorative manner. They make some stamp patterns and everything where we could possibly make it even look like wood. It'll drive the cost up a little bit, but that's where we can use some of those contingency funds to move those back up and cover the cost of some of that when we make those changes. So you can stain it and stamp it to make it look like wood.
It's just, it's an educational thing that you're trying to get rid of concrete.
Right.
And kind of preach to people that we're trying to do the right thing here. And the less concrete, the better.
Yes, ma'am.
I know you had said you took some bridges out, but is there any access point from the sidewalk across a trail, other than the parking lot? But I'm talking about off of Alameda, the sidewalk across Alameda.
You can come off of these trails. This pathway is complete.
Get on
to the
across
other
to the other side.
No, ma'am, because that would require the bridge or something to cross the creek, which then would instantly set us in motion for the
Right.
Corps and FEMA and everybody else to
National permit.
do all of their national permits, and
Okay.
we're months, if not a year down the road if that happens.
We made a design decision.
Yes.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I was just looking at the church and thought, well, that'd be awesome that they could be able to use it too, but they can't get across the creek anywhere
The
unless it's
original
dry.
discussion was the bridge would go right here on this northeast corner to connect.
It's so deep right there, you couldn't do low water or
And,
anything.
yeah, and then the thing with the bridge is, we would expand so far out, we would take out a bunch of trees and everything else, because the bridge has to be 1 foot above flood elevation to the bottom of the bridge, not even the walking surface. So it starts getting into all that, and then once you put those bridge embankments in, that's where you're disturbing the stream again and instigating those.
You couldn't do like a
reviews.
low water crossing, like a natural, like.
We looked at that, and that instigates the same thing, because then you might dam up some water or mess with the flood pathway through there, where what we're doing is increasing the capacity there. There we could possibly dam up stuff that doesn't allow the water to flow the way it's supposed to with a low water crossing. So we looked at that too, and our hydrology specialist said that that's probably not the best thing to do.
There'll definitely be some kids that make their own crossing there.
The perfect spot
true.
is right in here. There is
Yeah.
a perfect spot that you can just walk. It's
Walk right
pretty
to it.
flat. And it's all rock. I've walked across it 5 times myself. It's a pretty cool little area, and that's where we did have in the original master plan, was a low water crossing. We were gonna try to use like permeable pavers or something, and just, it was not feasible.
That looks good.
Snakes.
Thanks for your work.
Well, thank you.
It'll be a neat thing.
What's our action item? Is it to adopt it or just to?
Recommendation to,
To the council.
yeah.
I motion that we recommend the plan as presented to the council. As
I'll second.
Okay, Chris Moxley has made a motion to recommend to put this stormwater park project on to council, seconded by
Ellen.
Helen,
Mrs. Esri.
Mrs. Esri. Any opposed?
Skip through his
All in
slides,
favor?
'cause he had this-
Aye.
Any opposed?
So
Okay.
nice that Norman is finally gonna get something like the
Yeah,
rest of the country.
I know they were talking about doing something on the river like that at one
Are
point.
those pictures, I mean, were those kind of from the park in Tulsa or just different spots around?
Different parks we've either worked on, some that we haven't worked on that we use as example imagery of what we're wanting to try to achieve. So when we come up with something, Gathering Place has a lot of cool items in it. Scissortail Park has some of the same type of features, but not all of them have come from there. They come from all over.
I want to check it out. Where it is.
Okay, item number 5, consideration of approval, rejection, amended and/or postponement of annual contracts with community partners at the Young Family Athletic Center.
So sorry for getting this to you late. This, we signed this yesterday, and I don't think that it quite made the, or got into your packet, but our agreement with council is to, once the Parks Department signs a community partner agreement, we share this with you to make sure that you know exactly what's going on. So our newest community partner agreement that we have signed is with Sooner Swim Club. We've known that they're gonna be a community partner for a long time. They were one of the original shareholders, or I like to call them godfathers of Norman Ford. So they have a big part, and they're going to be one of our main users of the swimming pool over there. So just to go over this real quick, we entered an agreement, and then we'll be max of 5 years, and we'll automatically enter this agreement on a yearly basis for the next 5 years unless one of us stops it. Sooner Swim Club agrees to pay the city $15 per hour per lane for the first 35 hours of use, and then $12.50 per hour per lane for lane usage after that. They will pay a minimum of $50,000 annually for the usage of the WIFAC. So no matter what, we'll kind of always get to that minimum amount that we've talked about with them. We're pretty confident that this contract will far exceed $50,000 per year. If you do your math right there with the $15 per hour times 3,500 hours, that's kind of where we targeted in, somewhere around that $50,000 annual wage, and then it will go down after that. They also agree when they host any swim meets or swim duels out at the WIFAC, that they will give us 25% of their gross revenue from the event. So if they charge admission or from any advertising or team fees that they produce, they owe us 25%. Also, if they have a swim meet that costs them nothing, that can just that they don't charge fees for, we can just kind of lean back towards our hourly usage rate for that as well. So so that is a win-win for them. And you kind of go in here and you kind of basically making sure that they hold their officers, the city will hold their officers, or officers can't do anything to the city insurance-wise, making sure they have the minimum amount for tort claims, so on and so on. They'll keep a clean space, that they'll have to make sure that Beanstalk Coffee and Snow is the exclusive food and concession provider inside the WIFAC. They also have to provide a schedule to us, and make sure that they supply financial bookkeeping and reporting for their events that they have, if they have a 25% share, and they will hold on to all those files. So y'all have that to kind of look at that. This is pretty standard of what we do with any of our partners or any of our operators at parks. Any questions with the Sooner Swim Club contract?
Do we have to provide lifeguards for their meets? Is
Yeah,
that
and
what
that's
I'm
part,
reading?
that would partly be what the cost is for their 25%.
Okay.
And we also, when there's
Practices.
practice and providing swim lanes and stuff like that.
That's funny, you have to have lifeguards for people that can swim better than the lifeguards.
Most of the time that their swimmers are the lifeguards.
That's what
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the easy way.
Yeah, so you'll have like your under 14 and they're practicing, and their big brothers are the lifeguards that are on the under 16 club, so, or 16 and
Do
under
you
club.
have to have lifeguards there?
Yes.
Why do you not have to have them at the
Just part of,
wellness center?
The wellness center is because they have insurance, additional
Okay.
insurance coverage.
I mean, I was
that
just
covers
curious.
that part of
I
it.
mean, it was just.
So are you paying the Big Brothers? Are they paid as lifeguards, or are they just?
Yeah, no, they'll be employees.
Okay.
And like with anything else, the scheduling, giving us the schedule is how we assure we have enough time for community people to come use the pool, right?
Yeah, and we've already got schedule worked out with them, and there's at least, majority of the time, there's more than one lane open that we're gonna be there, and two, you have to remember, we got 2 pools, so even if we have all the lanes occupied in the competition pool, we'll still have areas in the rec pool where people can go do laps or swim if they wish.
Cool, thank you.
Do we need what kind of a motion? Is this just an information
No, this is kind of
piece?
information piece.
Okay.
You don't really, I mean, if y'all want to take a vote on it, you can, but not really necessary. The other contract that we signed, just want to make you aware of, this is not really have to do anything with community partner type things, but we entered an agreement with Crowd Management Services. They're,
I saw those medals.
oh, heck yeah, so when we have big events out there,
Metal
a lot of times, we're not gonna do this for our local events just yet, in case there's hopefully an incident happen, but, or if we have problems, but for our big events, a lot of times we have to provide security, or they have to provide security for their own event, and to go along with that, we're also gonna request that they run the people through metal detectors, to get in and out of the YFAC. And to do that, we're gonna hire a third-party company to do that. Our police department doesn't wanna do it, nor do we want our employees to do it, because it's kind of, it's a very brutal thing, and more than likely, you have a 16-year-old kid doing that, he's gonna be lenient. These guys will not be lenient. This is the same company that the school system used, and they came highly recommended to us from Norman Public Schools. And as you can see, it's just a simple, we have to have a minimum of 4 staff there for any type of event, because we have three metal detectors, and then we also have wands if we can't figure out where the metal is, or if they have a metal plate in their head or something, or knee or something. We just kind of point that out. But event staff is usually where we'll have 3 of them at $23 an hour, and supervisors at $24.10 an hour. And we pass that on plus 6% administration fee to anybody that rents the facility. So it actually comes at no cost to us. We'll require renters to use that.
Did they have to use them the other day?
We did not have a contract signed in time for us to schedule them, so we did not use any metal detectors. We did have the police there a couple times.
Did we have to pay for those, or are those gonna be there all the time? I saw them
The
the other
metal-
day there, and I just didn't know if they were brought in for events and taken out, or
The
if
metal
they.
detectors were just part of our construction budget. We
Okay,
bought them.
Bought them as part of, okay, so they were already there.
They're cheaper for us to supply
Oh.
ourselves than rent them from
Okay.
a third party.
So do people see them there? Are they like a deterrent kind of thing, or they only come out of hiding when you have the big events and hire this?
We'll only use them for events, so if it's like a local league or something like that, we won't put out the metal detectors.
I
But-
mean, can you see them when you walk
Talking
through the
about these
door?
guys?
No, the metal
The
detectors.
metal detectors themselves.
The metal
yeah.
detectors are on rollers, and we can move them out of the way if we're not
Oh.
using them.
But
So
they
they're not-
are, you can't, I mean, I walked out
They're
the
in the
door the other
doorway. We
day,
gotta
and
figure out a
they're,
way where to store them right now.
they're up against the wall.
They're taller than our doors. We
Than
didn't
the
realize
doors,
that they're
so-
that tall. So we have to find a way to store them, yeah.
Okay.
That's the reason they're in the hall there, yeah.
I know.
Can you take them out through the, well, I guess, it's Norman Regional has that garage door?
Yeah, we'd have to get it in the
maybe
Norman
there
Regional
is
area
one.
first.
I think
Okay.
it's great.
All right, any other questions on that? All right. We'll now move to reports. Item number 6, annual presentation from the Santa Fe Depot.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello, lovely humans. Is it all right if I just come grab a chair?
He's shifting out, so you got that one, or
Oh,
whatever you
you're
want to
fine.
be.
I'm just gonna plop down right here since I'm
She doesn't want to
close.
sit next to me.
What? Yeah, not that guy. What?
And Danielle sits in the back, I guess.
Hi, and Danielle is over there ready to throw rocks. Hi, good evening. We're gonna be super quick tonight. We actually have a depot board meeting this evening. That's supposed to start at 6:30, but I just texted him saying, order us a coffee. We'll be there in a minute.
6:35, maybe.
6:30, it's fine. So I usually get up and summarize this report for you all, but I hope you've all had a chance to take a look at it, to read it. And because we're running a little short on time, there are a couple of highlights I'd like to hit, and then really I would just like to give you all time to ask me questions or learn anything more that you would like to know. First, we're so thrilled that the Parks and Recreation Department is getting some support. They've got some additional facility staff that is super, super helpful. We love your guys. That's brilliant. Because as we all know, what happens in our beautiful city of Norton is we have all these fabulous ideas for things we want to build, and then everybody turns to parks and goes, okay, guys, figure it out.
Yeah.
And so they're pretty genius at figuring it out, and we're appreciative of all of the help and support. So we're happy that right now the new facilities guys, just to let you know about what's going on in our facility, and I didn't put it in the report, they're working on our air conditioners. After the remodel of 2017, there were some things that were, as every time, I mean, we're not having a library situation.
Yeah.
So we're good, these are little. Our air conditioners, the motors in them, there's 5 zones in the depot in this air conditioning system, which, you know, when they put it in, I think somebody thought, I actually, funnily enough, talked to the architect whose idea this was today, as I was doing street closure for the depot, and he was asking about it, and I was like, yeah, that was a bad choice, friend. I mean, I love you and your recommendation. But 5 zones, different air conditioners, it's one small building, and they're up high, they're getting a little leaky in the ceiling, causing some moisture issues, and they don't heat and cool like they're supposed to, like when it gets down to freezing, We just had to close up office hours because we can't warm it up enough inside the depot. Unless we have a concert and get like 100 people in which case we're solid, because that room packed full of humans will get warm in a hurry. But the fabulous humans, and thank you for the assistance and for Blake and for those wonderful humans.
They're
have
actually
reached-
their own,
Huh?
they're their own group now, so.
I love it, and they have worked with Wagoners who diagnosed the problem and has changed one motor in one of the units. And we walked in and we went, it doesn't sound like airplanes are taking off in here, because that's usually the problem. So I think we're gonna get that handled and under control. We were very appreciative of the assistance and the help. The Depot, as you know, handles Summer Breeze Concert Series. Our gallery is the best-selling art gallery in Norman. We have our new third Thursday comedy night with really growing crowds, and our feeling on that one was really, the world feels so contentious, we feel like everything is a fight, and sometimes we just need to lighten up and giggle and be with our friends and hang out. And it has been a really wonderful new audience of people coming to the Depot that we've really enjoyed. The Emerging Artists show that we've got up now in our art gallery has 12 community artists. It occurred to us, we ended up with a cancellation of a show last year. That was scheduled for January and February of 2023. And we decided to reach out to our community to find out if there were artists we didn't know about. And we were overwhelmed with the responses, and we put up an emerging artist show with a lot of extraordinarily talented people in our community that had been out showing or learning or being a part of art communities elsewhere, but had never shown in a gallery. And we've done the same thing, and those artists are up on our walls again this year. And this year we have artists from Shawnee, and we have artists from Yukon, and we're starting to spread this throughout Oklahoma to make this kind of an Oklahoma's emerging artist situation. And in a few years, we think that will be what this space will be in January and February. We are grateful for the support that we give, and let's talk about money for just a hot second. So money's really interesting at the Depot. We get rentals that were significant in the last year. If you notice, our rental numbers were the highest we have ever seen. That was an anomaly, as we're figuring out. Last year, it really was. Everybody who'd postponed everything for 2 years planned it all in the last fiscal year. And so we had a really robust rental income. I think we'll see a little less this year, but it'll be still fine. Our membership drive that we started during the pandemic is still holding strong and a really nice new revenue source for us. We have such generous businesses in this community that are willing to help put on programs like Summer Breeze in the park, where 2,000 of your closest friends can bring a picnic dinner and we'll bring a band. And our wonderful stages that we are happy the city's gonna use them again for couple of city events. We're very happy to be able to share and be partners. Kind of the spirit of what we do at the Depot is collaborate and make friends.
Are those owned by the city or by you guys?
They're owned by us. They're owned by us. We got those through a Kirkpatrick grant, and we just found out that we're about to be awarded another Kirkpatrick grant. On our board meeting tonight, we're gonna discuss whether or not we wanna take their package, but they'll also issue it to us as a challenge grant to match. And we'll be able to we installed lighting for the gallery in the Depot ourselves. We raised the funding for that and improved the lighting of the Depot. We're gonna increase those improvements to the building ourselves and be able to put in maybe some stage lighting so that when we do have a program or a wedding or something else where you'd like to have the rest of the lights down and something going on at the front of the room, we can do that. As well as our tables and chairs. They're about 10, 15 years old. They've seen their best days. And the stages that we use they weigh about 250 pounds per piece, the stages, and there are 4 pieces that we put out. And they hurt if they don't get picked up or moved correctly. And we want to change them to modular stages with far less risk that will still handle the weight load that we need in the Depot to be able to have the activities we have, but they'll be able to be stacked and stored and put up and taken down by volunteers or staff without the risk involved in moving those big, heavy stages around our room.
They better still support a grand piano though.
Huh?
They better
That
still
will still
support it.
support a grand piano, because one of my greatest memories ever is getting Baron into that room and having to, like, that was some work. But we got a baby grand into that room and had him play, and it was spectacular. That's really the bulk of it. We are, just to let you all know, we were kind of made aware a couple of years ago, there's a difference in the way that some of our organizations get funded in town. Both the Sooner and the Firehouse receive funding that helps support their programming. And we do not. We receive our little bit that kind of barely helps cover what we do for Amtrak. But we execute a city contract 365 days a year for Amtrak service. Nearly 10,000 people come through our depot every year. We clean the wear and tear on our chairs, all of our paper products, the work that we do, in addition to the fact that we answer questions on the phone, the internet, and in-person walk-ins every day. We print train schedules. Because Amtrak doesn't provide them anymore, we take care of a lot of that work. So during this round with the city and the finance committee, we're gonna ask them to reevaluate maybe the level of support that they give to the depot, because we'd love to see them be able to support some staffing or increased staffing, because right now without volunteers, we would not be able to run that program for the city. And I love our trained volunteers. If you have not met Ken, I encourage you to go to our YouTube Depot TV channel and find one of the interviews with Ken. Ken is 365 a year at the depot because he loves it. He loves trains. He's had a satellite dish installed at his house, and he has access to the train schedules on a dedicated, connected, secure iPad. He knows where all the trains are. He can tell everybody within 30 seconds when that train's gonna arrive and when those customers need to walk out the door to get ready. There's not a better volunteer on planet Earth. He sends us detailed reports, weekly, monthly, daily, of trained customers, travelers, what the bookings look like. He's really been unbelievable, but he is a retired volunteer and he's not gonna be around forever. And replacing him means we're going to have staff to execute that contract for the city. So we're gonna begin, he has already pulled back. We asked for a little increase in funding because we're having our paid staff now do things like set up the room and tear down the tables and chairs. So he, as a volunteer, doesn't have to do all of that heavy lifting on his own.
How long's he been doing that?
Close to 20 years.
And what's his last name?
You would ask me right now and I'm blanking. Thank you. Ken Brown. Thanks, Danielle. This is Danielle. She is the events coordinator and really the nerve center and brain behind all of the programming that happens at the depot. So thank you, nerve center and brain. And so that is, we had a good year. We're hopeful that some of the funding from the ARPA funds that were put back into the state's budget in the last year that we've applied for funding will help give us a little boost and a nest egg that might help with some of the tables and the chairs and the things that we had just prior to the pandemic, started putting some money away, and we all know how that went. So we'll get back to some of those improvement projects to make sure that the depot's really ready and strong enough to be there for everybody. Great concerts coming up, amazing comedian coming up in a couple of weeks. We happily would host any of you that want to come see what we have going on at the depot. And what questions or information can I give you?
I thought I had a question, I don't have the details.
It's okay, talk around it, we'll find out.
I know, right? I'm like, wait a minute.
We'll
I thought-
figure it out.
It made sense when I looked at it.
Sure.
This morning, wages definitely went up, which I realize you have more people, but I
That's
was
right.
wondering if there was also some classification changes, like someone that used to be contract is now able to be an employee.
Right, so here's what we've done. We did a couple of things. So we have, it was, literally when I came on board at the depot, it was Donna, who was amazing and had been there forever, and we love her, who did office hours and helped with rentals on the weekend. She worked 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And I couldn't talk her out of it because she'd been doing it for decades, and that's what she did. But I, as executive director, now with the depot getting busy, executive roles means I need to prepare reports and spend time with people like you to help recruit sponsors, to help connect our depot to the community, to work with all the collaborations, because we're home base for all of the parades downtown. If there's an organization in this town that needs space, all the children's programs until now, they're gonna get a temporary space. We're happening over at the library, because we'll just open our doors when people need a space. That building is owned by the community, it should be available to the community. So Danielle came on board and started handling the day-to-day of all of the programming, but as that really ramped up and got as busy as it did, we realized she couldn't do all that and sit in the chair and answer repeated questions from people who wanted to buy a piece of art. They want to know when the trains run, they want to come in and rent the depot, and they need a contract signed. So we have now hired someone just to be there during our gallery hours to do just that. That is someone who sits and is dedicated to be there to serve the public and to be able to handle the intake for rentals, to be able to answer phone calls. And then we have Joy, who works on Saturdays for our gallery hours. And Joy is actually our maintenance person and the person that handles all of our rentals for the depot. So when someone is using the space on the weekend, Joy will greet them and meet them there, open the doors for them, clean up after they're gone, and take care of those rental customers. So Joy had been a 1099 employee as simply a maintenance person, giving her more duties and allowing her to take a little ownership over rentals. She became a part-time employee instead of a contract. That's why you see the increase in wages.
And the drop in contract, there
And
was
the
a
drop in
change, yeah,
contract,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
a change over there, absolutely, you nailed it.
Thank you.
Of course. Anything else anybody would like to know about the programs, about our finances, how we're funded, what we do in the community?
You mentioned gallery hours.
Yes.
What are those?
So our gallery hours are currently 10 to 2, Wednesday through Saturday. We were closed over the pandemic, and we had been Tuesday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. The fact of the matter is that funding just isn't there for us to have as many gallery hours as we want, and we're finding there are a lot of people that want to use this space. Also, we've been increasing the number of workshops that we have at the depot. We've been doing some art workshops, we're doing painting, we're working on a flute making, and I know, right? Cool. So we're working and identifying artists, makers, and creatives that would like to run classes on the depot or workshops, not really like regularly once a week or 3 times a week, but maybe a 2-day watercolor painting workshop, or want to do a 4-hour workshop on flute making, right? And we're working on getting a lineup of those in addition to those gallery hours. Wednesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2. Anything else?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll give a shout out to my other gig at NMF. I don't know if you guys are Norman Music Festival. I heard you talking about large festivals and events. This year is going to be the biggest year of NMF ever. We're encouraged and excited and nervous. Our marketing budget at NMF for 15 years has been $0.00. We have never told anybody that it's happening. We just do it, and people keep showing up, lots of them. So we have decided, because we love our hotel motel tax, don't we? We all love that. That funds all of our fabulous programs and things, and the Arts Council and parks, that increasing tourism and doing some targeted marketing. Norman's not a fly-in city, but it is within a tank of gas with the lineup that we just announced last week. That includes, we'll know Sunday night whether or not we got a Grammy nominee or a Grammy winner as a headliner on our stage, but they're nominated for Best Indie Performance always for the Grammy, and several other real high profile. This is our biggest get to date. We're notoriously great at being able to pick artists that are on their way up in their career, and you see them on much bigger stages after they've left NMF, and you get to see them downtown for free. This year we've caught a couple of bands right as they're hitting big. Right after I booked the headliner in October, within 3 months they went from 400,000 Spotify listeners to 2.2 million.
Who is that?
Always. Alvvays, sorry. Always. Indie rock band, very sweet, super cool. They did an NPR Tiny Desk concert that just came out like 2 or 3 weeks ago. They're amazing, nominated for a Grammy and blowing up right now. And with targeted marketing, we have a digital strategy partner that's come on board, so we're gonna be doing some targeted marketing to regions around the city of Norman, Wichita, Fayetteville, North Texas, in the Denton, Dallas area, and creating some packages for people to come and stay and play in
What
Norman.
weekend is that?
That is April the 25th through the 27th. Yeah, so we're excited about that.
Shout out.
Woo, woo, woo. There you go. Anything else I can do for you all? Appreciate all that you do. You guys have,
Appreciate what you do.
I mean, there
Yeah, I got it.
there are secret things about this town that people doesn't know about, you know, how the sausage gets made. People don't really know how much power's in the stable and in the Parks and Rec
Sausage
department.
everywhere.
Sausage factory right here. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, you guys have a good day.
Have a good board meeting.
Yeah.
Bye, Danielle.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 7, annual presentation from the Little Axe Youth Softball Association.
Batter up. Batter up.
Ha, 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 ha.
Saving that joke all night.
All right, I think most of you know who I am. I'm Tiffany Earhart. I've been around for a really long time. I'm trying to not be around for much longer, but it's not working out so well.
Well, we enjoy seeing you.
Well, I appreciate that. Last year we did pretty well with our partnership with Big Show. You can kind of see the numbers and stuff like that in here. I continued the partnership with our new high school coach out at Little Axe High School, and so we were able to utilize the fields for a couple different events, tournaments in conjunction with Big Show. And so we were able to put about $1,000 into the softball program for the schools. So the coach was able to buy additional uniforms and stuff like that for the kids and equipment and stuff. So I'm a little worried about 24, but we'll let me finish up with 23. League for last year, we had probably the highest number of boys in baseball that we've had in quite a while. I think part of that is that we left the Ouachita Valley League, which I'm so glad I made that decision when I did, because there's a bunch of fraud and stuff going on down south. So we got out of there in the nick of time. But so we ended up having more baseball boys. I think we had like 65 boys. We were low on the girls' side. I'm not super worried about it because I know what talent and stuff we have in our community and schools and stuff like that. And so we have a lot of kids that have come through our program, and I know that there'll be some younger kids starting to come in. It just goes in waves. It's just the way it is. We stayed chartered with Babe Ruth because they handle our insurance and stuff like that for last year. There was some increases on the insurance aspect of it, which hasn't gone up at this point. And other than that, I mean, we just are kind of trying to do business as normal. Field issues is always an issue. I think you guys came out and put some sandbags. I need sandbags again. They're done. And it's been on my list. I do 1,000 things. I also coach at the middle school. I'm the head softball coach there, so I'm really busy all the time. We did get some loads of dirt brought in for one of the big tournaments that we had. It was about $2,500 worth of dirt that I had brought in to make the fields in the best condition I could to host that level or caliber of a tournament. We got that put on. Several rain events. A lot of my dirt that I just put on is out, so I have some more Red Select that I was able to get purchased, and it's just waiting to be put on. Just got to get skid steers out and stuff like that to be able to move it. For 24, kind of what my plan is or what I'm anticipating is I'm going to push again to try to get board members, get more volunteers, period. I mean, my kid's going to be graduating next year, so I'm trying to cut some responsibilities, but I'm trying to get more people to come on board and really take some ownership of our community and wanting to keep things going out there. The partnership with Big Show is not going to be renewed this year because everybody went to turf. Fire Lake's beautiful, putting in those additional 4 fields out there, plus the stadium. They don't need Little Axe. They don't need my 3 fields. They're going to Midwest City, Reed Park, stuff like that. They're all turf, nice complexes. I can't compete with that.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to push more on the little teams that are starting up that want to maybe have a fundraiser on the weekends and stuff like that to help bring revenue in so I can keep the lights on. and stuff like that, but I'm kind of disappointed, but it is what it is. So I don't know what 24 is gonna bring when I see you guys next year. As far as that, I mean, like I said, pretty much business as usual. We're in the process of registering right now for Spring League. We're staying with the same organization that we did this last year. I'm just hoping that I can get our numbers up. That will help cover us or carry us until tournaments really start, probably springtime. And then hopefully start bringing that revenue in early part now so that I can start getting dirt moved on the fields and stuff like that. Typically, I get a lot of volunteers, or I shouldn't say a lot, I call and beg people I know with heavy equipment and stuff like that, or beg my husband to come out there and move dirt for me and stuff, but I mean, I still have to pay for fuel and things like that, so. We'll see, so, questions?
Oh my gosh.
I know,
Yeah,
I
that-
know, I feel like a broken record, I'm sorry.
When I read about them not being renewed, I was very sad for you.
Yeah, we'll figure it out, be resourceful.
I did have one question, and the utilities seemed really high compared to prior years, so I wonder if something got put in there that I'm not thinking of as a utility.
No, I don't know if, and I was talking to Gabby about this last year too, because there was an increase, and it seemed like there was an increase in the power. I don't know, I get the bill and I pay it. I don't really look at the wattage or the usage or anything like that. I know that there's two separate bills. There's one for like the barn area, maybe I don't know if the barn's on the concession stand or if the lights are separate. I can never keep it straight, but.
Yeah, but it's like 4 times. I mean, utilities are usually like around 2,000, and they were 8,400.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah, no, that's what caught my eye. It was.
Unless
Oh,
I
you-
miscoded something, I don't.
That's what I was wondering, if something might be miscoded in there. And the thing I had actually only went through December 26th, but that still wouldn't have been that big of a difference.
I can go in there and look and see if I inadvertently coded anything. I mean, we did make a couple big purchases, because I had to buy a freezer again
Right,
and stuff like that, but I don't know.
That might have been in.
I can go in and look at
Just see
it.
if there's something in there, because that was pretty big. And if not, maybe there's a water leak or something.
Well, there was, if you
okay.
remember that, there was from the, but I don't know if that's on my bill. Do you know if that's on my bill, the chlorinator?
The chlorinator would not be on your bill.
It's not on
Okay.
mine? Okay.
Yeah.
I can look.
Yeah, just double check, and if not, maybe see what might be happening.
It's
I know,
4
because you
Yeah.
don't have any extra time,
Yeah.
but
I'll put it on my list though. I will take a look at
Yeah.
that. I didn't realize. I just pressed the button.
I know. And then I had to go read it.
It's okay. No, keep me honest.
That's
I
why we have
appreciate it.
people like her on the commission. But it was 4 times what it was last?
It probably, if
More
it's
than.
8, then yeah, it should, I don't know what it's supposed to be. I'll have to go back in and look at all.
Yeah,
all
and
this.
I went back even like a couple of years, and it runs around 2,000, and it was 8,400.
It's probably a little bit more than, I know it's gonna be a
I
little bit
definitely
more
would've
than that,
gone
because I
up,
made
yeah.
a payment of like 2,500 last fall.
Wow.
Because how it comes and how my funds go, you know.
Right.
I'll get
Yeah.
the bill and I'll say, Carl, I'm gonna send a check, so I'll look at it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Any other questions?
No. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, I appreciate it.
Item number 8, Norman Forward update.
Norman Ford update, pretty short and sweet on this one, kinda hit a little bit of YPAC stuff. February 19th is the ribbon cutting ceremony at YPAC 3:30. Earlier in the day at 10 o'clock, we'll have the art dedication, on that same day, so, keep that in mind. 19th is on President's Day, so if you have school, your kids won't be in there, at school, so, but make sure you, come by, join us, have a good time on that. I know Bentley Park, it keeps on progressing, still waiting to install a bunch of the sidewalks and whatnot. You have to wait for weather to cooperate. Right now, it's too wet to do concrete anywhere. And then you also have to make sure you have temperatures above a certain degree. And as you can remember, we went through a cold snap that lasted a week or so, then a bunch of rain. So it seems like we keep on fighting negatively on some of our construction projects. But we'll get that rolling. We anticipate having a ribbon cutting for that sometime in the spring. Besides that, we're pretty thank God, remember when I would give Norman Ford project updates and it'd be like 30 minutes?
Yeah.
You know, Wade would always be over there half asleep, but a little bit shorter right now. So, and Norman Ford's starting to wind up. We'll have a bunch of neighborhood park projects and a few other Saxon Park and trail projects and things like that. But for right now, only 2 or 3 things going on.
Okay. Item number 9, divisional updates.
Okay, park development, again, winter, we're indoors a lot, planning budget sheets, she left, but I mean, we're gonna request again to get more funds to work at Little Axe, among other things. You know, all budget requests are due in February, and they start deciding on what to do, so we've asked for year after year, I'm gonna get, I mean, it's not an item for discussion, but we keep asking for money to improve the drainage and the fields and things like that, but you know, it just doesn't get prioritized by council, so. It's a fight and it's a struggle for them just to operate and for us to get funding to make things easier to operate. So that's one of those things. Historic House getting some work done on the porch. We tried to bid the paint out. It came in super high last summer, so we're doing some cosmetic repairs and gonna kind of rethink our paint bid that comes to that. But for now, we're able to do all the balusters in the porch were in bad shape. Not all, about half of them. So we're replacing that and kind of getting the part that's covered and workable done there. Like Jason said, we got a couple of neighborhood parks coming. The next council going to award for new playgrounds at Falls Lakeview and Sunrise. Starting the game plan for the next ones we want to do. Forestry is busy. We also have Forestry Division. Wintertime is a good time to prune and to plant trees. I've been downtown pruning limbs and raising the canopies and getting things off the buildings and Campus Corner. Same thing. We have a contract with Davie Resource Groups to evaluate our tree ordinance. I'm going to have a fresh approach to that, working with our legal department extensively and the other departments in the city as far as permitting and the way things are going to be handled as far as tree enforcement and or lack of.
Do you think we'll hear about that, like what they came up with in the next couple of months?
What's that?
Or
Oh,
the tree ordinance?
Yeah, I think so. I
overhaul of
mean,
that?
yes, because like I said, Oklahoma has really tight private property laws, so there's not a whole lot we can do when it comes down to trees along streets and things like that. So I think our old ordinance was kind of unenforceable. So this one
Can't
makes.
rip out the cedars or anything if
Oh, yeah.
they border on a.
Yeah, we can't do anything unless it's, city-controlled property. So just because we have a right-of-way or an easement doesn't make it our property. So we're out of the tree business a lot of the times on that, so. So yeah, also planting trees. There's some park projects, replanting some things in Campus Corner in downtown, along 12th Avenue southeast between Lindsay and Constitution. There's some trees that we planted along. It's technically a state highway, so it's sort of a highway permission to plant trees along there. And several died. There's no water available there, so we're going back with a smaller number in incremental plantings and smaller trees. Smaller trees kind of take off better than bigger trees. If you have, your watering is restricted, you can't just do daily watering. So we're doing some projects there that have happened along Legacy Trail, replacing some trees, adding trees. Like I said, we just accepted the Andrews Park master plan. That's part of our planning process too. Now we're working on a Westwood Park master plan. RFP is out the door, so we want ideas to help renovate the rest of Westwood. So we've done the aquatics on one side and the indoor tennis on here, and in between is the old golf pro shop and the cart maintenance area and all that, and the tennis pro shop's kind of too small for its own good, so we're looking for some ways to kind of reimagine that and the parking out in front of that, because the parking in front of the aquatics was redone. And then, so there's just things we want to do to help us, again, plan for Norman Forward Part 2. So if we have a on the books, good, well cost estimated Westwood master plan, that helps us to ask for that funding, so we're not come up short and go, ooh, we can only do X instead of X through Z. So those kind of things, and many, many other projects I'm not thinking, and we're doing, and we are steeped in a lot of meetings for the AIM Norman comprehensive plan, because they are simultaneously, we're doing a park system master plan, so we do a lot of day and night meetings to keep up with that.
I like to keep us busy.
Yeah, which is good. We want to be busy with that, so we can be busy for the next 15 years after that. So that's me. I can't vouch for Veronica. I don't know anything about the rec division.
I think I was supposed to bring over forms for her, left them on her desk.
Daddy-daughter dance.
Yeah, we got Daddy-Daughter Dance coming up on, I think it's February 10th.
10th.
Yes, outside of that, I know that we got after-school programs up and rolling. I think she had on her list, YFAC opening.
Junior Chamber Volleyball registrations.
Yeah, the YFAC volleyball.
Okay.
It was on there, so, Wade can, I'll look up her email. Wade can go over what the heck's going on in his division.
Well, as Jason said earlier, with a lot of the construction stuff, we spent a lot of time. Some of it ended up being a little wasteful because of some ice and snow that was supposed to come and then didn't come, and then we had some that did show up. So even on the holidays, like MLK Junior Day, we were up here pre-treating and stuff for a lot of that snowstorm. So we spent a lot of time. There was, I think, one storm where we put it out, we didn't get anything, so then we had to come back up here and blow all the salt off, because if not, it'd start staining the concrete and stuff. So we went through several of those since the last time we met. The last time we met, we've had a big winter storm where we made sure that all of our facilities and stuff were locked down and heat was on. Had one leak, one pipe bust, little bit of a design flaw, if you ask me, but we have a ceiling in the chase. Well, all of our heat's in the chase, and we were made to put a cover in the chase while the pipe runs overhead. So we left the hatch access port to that, and that's worked in the past, but we're gonna have to figure something else out on that one restroom.
Where's that? In your
Ruby
maintenance
Grant.
building? Oh.
Ruby Grant and the family restroom.
Oh.
They run the pipes for the sinks overhead for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Heat
But then-
rises.
Well,
If there wasn't a ceiling.
yeah, and then we had during an inspection for the building to get the certificate of occupancy, they wanted us to put a cover over the chase. Yeah, so it is what it is.
Anyway.
We'll figure that out. But we've been working on things like that. We've been helping out with some of the stuff and furniture at the YFAC. We started this week finally with the nice weather. There's a large, about 150 feet of sidewalk that we're doing in-house at Kiwanis, coming off the east side. And then we'll start to see some replacement pieces of playground, Songbird. We had a break in the merry-go-round, the ADA merry-go-round. And then we had a car run over a slide in Colonial Commons.
Oh dear, that wasn't.
Oh, I remember that. Was that a police
Good.
chase?
And then we got a bridge at Castle Rock that we're trying to get replaced before we start mowing again. So we've got several, and then we've got another slide at William Morgan, the exit piece. I don't know if somebody hit it with something, but there was a large crack in the bottom of it.
We're supposed to replace that this year.
Yeah, we were supposed to, but then, so we ordered the chute. And then there's another slide at Castle Rock. That one piece was showing kind of a stress fracture, so we replaced that. So, and then the swing set at Andrews, the beam was starting to rot. So when we went to replace the beam, Reeves. Sorry,
Yeah,
what did I
Kids-
say?
you said
I said
Andrews.
Yeah,
I was
Yeah,
like,
Kids
Reeves
Space,
at
Kids
Kids
Space.
Space at Reeves.
Yeah.
And then we realized that the post was sinking, so then we had to special order a post.
Oh god.
Yeah, so the weather's kind of slowed us down on some of that, but that's
So is there a new salting system? Because it looks like little,
brine. So that's
Yeah.
that's basically
cool, isn't it?
pre-melted salt.
yeah.
So usually when you used to see the salt trucks, it would be activated by the moisture and turn into the same thing. Now it's just pre-activated.
That's why it stripes.
Yeah, and it's kind of a drip that they set it out in, and really it works somewhat, but it's really made so that the ice and snow and stuff doesn't actually adhere to the road. We'll actually use it occasionally on sidewalks and stuff.
So do you have to come back and wash it off, or does it kind of stain the road, or will it
It's
just go
it's
away with
basically
rain?
kind of it's just like brine, just like kind of what you cook with and stuff. It's just the
Salt
sodium water, yeah.
So it should wash off?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
shouldn't
Yeah, it goes
discolor
away
the-
with the
Yeah.
ice melt. I mean,
The old way where you would put the ice melt or rock salt out, it would melt and then it would cause
Turn into that.
Yeah, so it's basically
Doesn't
skipping a
seem
step.
quite as messy
right.
on the
It's
cars.
definitely not. It's definitely not. It's
But
still
is it
there.
effective?
Yeah, it seems to help keep it from adhering. When they're trying to go there with the snow plow, if you don't have that adhesion at the bottom where it's freezing directly to the road, it helps break that up faster, yeah. So when they're treating it from the top and they don't have that adhesion at the bottom, it breaks it up. It's no beet juice.
No beet juice, yeah, Oklahoma City uses beet juice.
Yeah,
Is it red?
No.
that's what Oklahoma City spent.
They use
or-
beet juice.
Yeah,
Is it red?
and they did like
No.
a special on every news channel last year.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's
on beet
ridiculous.
juice, so we pry at them, just poke at them a little bit.
Recreation has Shamrock Run, our yearly St. Patrick's Day run, March 2nd. Spring break camp is on the horizon. I can't believe we're talking about stuff in spring.
Are just amazing.
We're about ready to start taking registrations for our summer day camps and Mom Prom, which is a newer event that we've been doing the past couple of years. Around Mother's Day, where we do mother-son's dance or mother-kid dance. We renamed it where moms can bring whatever kiddo they want to. May 4th. May the 4th be with you. So.
Well, and I saw the pink dance is already sold
Yep.
out, so for the.
Is that the 4:30 one?
Yeah, that's the middle dance.
That's usually.
Hopefully you get your tickets, if that's the one you're going to.
I'm an early dance person.
Yeah.
By that time, I've been up about 12 hours, so.
That's about it.
Okay, miscellaneous items?
Any news on the Saxon Ad Hoc Committee, when it might be meeting?
We haven't put that together yet, no. We're still waiting for a few other things to wind down, and we need to re-engage our design team before we start meeting with them. It'll probably be sometime late spring, early summer before realistically happens.
I'd like to report earlier in January, I attended the AIM, Norman Parks and Recreation Subcommittee meeting, and it's kind of an icebreaker, get to know the other committee members, but one of the biggest things that is going on is that February will be the monthly public survey question on AIM will be on parks. So make sure you go in and take the survey.
How do you do that? You go to the website, or do you have to be on those?
It's aimnorman.com is the, and I'm sure you can get to it through the city.
Well, if you're getting those
webpage.
emails, would they send it out to you, the survey?
Yeah, we'll send out emails.
Yeah,
They'll be on social
right,
media as well.
Yeah, you'll get an email about the current, because I think I just got one the other day about it's transportation.
Parks will push out our, if that's what you're asking, we'll push out our questions when it's our turn as well.
Who else is on that committee?
Lee Hall is chairing that.
We have Sooner Theater, Jennifer Baker.
Jennifer Baker.
Then we have our Optimist Executive Director Amanda Prince. We have somebody that represents Norman Regional and what else is she? And she's with the oh my goodness, I'm losing my mind. But
Dennis Brigham's on it.
yeah, Dennis, which he was a former member of one other, but Sarah Sinek's with Norman Regional. Then we have somebody that works at OU Athletics, and then Mark Nanny, which is our frequent trail
The
guy.
Greenbelt
Yeah, Greenbelt.
Commission guy.
Who?
Mark
Who's-
Nanny.
Mark Nanny, he's the Greenbelt chair.
Why is the athletic people, what does that have to do with parks?
He's just a parent and applied
Oh.
for it. I was just giving you jobs along with it. It has nothing to do with it. All these people applied to be on the park master plan.
Was she appointed to represent us, or just,
She also applied, but yeah, we asked her to do it.
I'm glad we got somebody on that. Thank you.
And they'll eventually come here and communicate with Park Board.
They'll be bringing a presentation for us.
Are they meeting every month, or?
Yeah, right now, they're meeting every month. I think we have 4 meetings scheduled. Lee Hall, the chair, is asking for more meetings. She doesn't think we can get all of our stuff in that amount of time.
She likes meetings.
She does. She
likes to meet
a lot.
And I don't know if you got an email earlier this week about the community meetings that they're having. I think the first one's like February 12th at Roosevelt.
I saw that somewhere, maybe even in the paper. Not sure. I've seen something about it somewhere.
So they'll be communicating different meetings about different things. Any other miscellaneous? Anybody? Public comments. Do I need to read this since there's nobody here?
Nope,
No public.
Okay.
unless you want to.
I don't need to. Do I need a motion to adjourn?
Some people do it, some people don't.
I'll make a motion.
Robert's rule says you don't need.
I will
one.
second it.
Yeah, you
Right.
you don't have to. It's
All
up
in
to the
favor?
chair.
Okay, all right.
It's up to the
Okay,
chair.
we're adjourned.
There you go.
Adjourned.